It is a beautiful Monday morning, and we meet every single Monday, except when it is a public holiday in Kenya. We demystify the fact that Mondays are boring days. Are they really? They are beautiful days. We set the pace for the week. Not only do we meet virtually, we meet physically as what we term as meet and greet. And the last quarter is culminated with a dinner. And I know the itinerary has been posted in the group. And if you're not in the group, oh my, are you missing something? We welcome you all. We discuss diverse topics on personal development, and who knows, you could make your first million from here, employee from here. It is all good, and every day we grow, because if you stop learning, you stop growing. That's a fact. Today is a special day. It's a special month because we celebrate mothers. Not only do we celebrate mental health, we also celebrate mothers. And today's topic is about workplace wellness, and I will want to know how mothers balance this thing. We mother, we wifey, we corporate, all that, but we are mothers. I celebrate you all. And today's poem is titled Mama. Mama, the world calls you mother, but the word feels too small for everything that you are. Because how can I explain? Tell me, how can we explain a woman who carries pressure in one hand and hope in the other? How can you explain the sleepless nights, the silent prayers, and all she does is to say, I'm okay. Even when the life feels so heavy, she still will tell you, it's a pita too. And she says, it is well. Mama, we celebrate you. You are a magic that nobody understands. We talk about it, but unless you get into it, that's when you get to understand. You turn all the struggles into strength. You turn the houses into homes. You turn ordinary moments into memories. You remember the chapati moments? And somehow, you make sacrifices look like love. You give us the bigger piece. And even when your own plate is very small, you keep your smile alive. And when life is unfair, Mama, you're always there. You are a definition of strength without asking for any applause. You carry us on your back and still the energy to say, I said, don't you give up. And maybe it is your mother's strength that you keep fighting today. Because your courage becomes our inheritance, Mama. Your voice lives in our minds every day. Wewe nitakutandika wewe. All those things live within us. And the moments that she tells us, be kind. Work hard, the world is not fair. And when she tells you, trust God, she goes back and prays you and says, keep going. Mama, we celebrate you. Mama, not only are you just a person, but you are a magic. You are a prayer that works with us, and all of us, we keep saying, sina ombi ya mama yangu, sijui ningekuwa wapi. We celebrate you, Mama. We honor you. We thank you. We stand because you stand, and nothing could speak. And if tears could fall so freely, Mama, these are tears of joy. We celebrate you, Mother. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lucita. We celebrate all mothers on Power Monday. We celebrate you. Yes, you are important. You are very, very important. Thank you so much. And so I call her Wellness Way, but her name is Wanjiru, who is going to introduce the guest speaker of the day. And then immediately she introduces the guest speaker of the day, the guest speaker will take on. Karibu sana Wanjiru. Or Wellness Way.
That is June, or who?
Yes, that's June.
Okay. So, June, you can unmute.
Good morning. Yes, I was waiting to unmute. Good morning. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Monday. Happy Power Monday. It's a beautiful day. I have the great honor of introducing our most eminent speaker today. My name is June Wanjiru Wainaina. Wellness Way, the way to wellness. Dr. Florence Ambayo is a clinical psychologist and trauma specialist with over 17 years of professional experience supporting individuals, caregivers, and organizations across Africa. Her work has focused extensively on trauma care, mental health, staff well-being, and psychosocial support within diverse humanitarian, corporate, and community settings. She has developed trauma resource materials for grassroots caregivers using the ARA methodology, equipping frontline teams with practical and culturally responsive approaches to trauma-informed care. Over the years, Dr. Florence has worked in several setups, bringing deep cross-cultural insight and a strong passion for human-centered well-being interventions. Dr. Florence is the founder of Inner Access Consulting, a Nairobi-based organization providing mental health and well-being solutions for both individuals and organizations. Through her leadership, the organization champions staff wellness, career assessment using psychometrics, resilience building, psychological safety, and sustainable mental health support systems in workplaces and communities. She is also a speaker, trainer, and a life coach. In her other life, she is a great singer. She has done several songs which are on YouTube and is currently working on her autobiography titled What Shall I Sing for You Today? She holds a Bachelor of Psychology, BPsych, from University of Nairobi, a master's degree in counseling psychology from USIU, United States International University, Africa, and a doctorate in clinical psychology from the same United States International University, Africa. She is a mother and a proud grandmother. Karibu.
Let's go.
Next time, June, you let us see your face when you're introducing people.
Let's go.
You're introducing people in hiding. Karibu sana, Flo.
Asante sana, asante sana. Welcome everybody, and thank you, June, for that introduction. Let me just put my slides up. My little daughter was distracting me behind here. She wants me to say kwaheri as she goes to school. So that is a part of it.
That's in order.
I tell you. Okay, so let me just get my slide. Let me see, it's from current slide. And then I do something else, and then you tell me whether you're seeing my presentation. Sorry, I ended my show again. You tell me whether you're seeing my slides, and I'll begin.
Yes, we are seeing them. We're
Oh,
seeing
great.
the slides.
All right, thank you. Thank you one more time, and welcome everyone to this session. We are talking about the human first workplace and how we can look at trauma-informed care in the workplace right now, especially in our multi-generational workspace where we have 5, maybe mainly now 4, but we still have the 5th generation there in the workspace. I want to start with a question, and I really would like this to be very participatory. I want you to talk to me this morning. So let me start by asking this question and ask you to kindly put it in the chat. What do you remember? That's my question. But the real question is, what did you experience as a child that was traumatic? Please put it in the chat. And OPP, you can read it for me when people put that in the chat. I want to pin this message here. Yeah. What did you experience as a child that was traumatic?
Bullying, so that is what somebody said.
Yeah.
That is Melvin. Neglect, that is Pam. Walking in the dark in the village. Odhiambulali, where did you grow up in the village? I thought you grew up in Nairobi. Okay, then neglect from, that is Eric Martin. One of the things personally I remember was the cruel treatment of some teachers in school. Yeah. Yeah, without thinking or reasoning anything, you are already on the wrong. Stigma, that is from Anthony Murithi. Now it's good to note Anthony Murithi is somebody who is on a wheelchair, so you can imagine what that means.
Yeah.
Juna says yangu siwezi sema. Punishment. Then Joyce says Moi dictatorship, 1998, bomb blast, parents and in-laws fighting, teachers bullying, peers dragging. Then war between my community and Maasai, that is from Emmanuel. Then there is abandonment from Shiro, being beaten by parents for my siblings' mistakes, racism, that is from Melvin. I don't know where Melvin was getting racism.
Wow. So thank you for that, OPP. Now I want to ask another question, and I really want to thank everybody for being so vulnerable to share some of those traumatic experiences that you went through as a child. How is what you experienced in your childhood showing up in your adulthood and especially in your workplace? How is it showing up? And you've got to possibly think a little how you behave in a meeting, how you behave in, with your colleagues, how you behave even at home with your children, with the workers in your home, your house help. How is what you experienced in your childhood showing up? You could share with us. Maybe I could just take one or two answers on the chat also, and then we can continue.
So Dr. Melvin says passive aggressive behavior, anger.
Right.
The umbrella says I've grown to question authority. Says codependent. They use very words, whatever those things mean. I don't know unless I'm told. That is somebody there, Eric. Yeah. Non-tolerance of excuses. That is Susan. Lack of trust and fear to delegate. That is prayer. Defense mechanism. That's from Just Finn. I mean, people pleaser. That's June. Lack of trust. That is Karen. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Let's just stop there. You realize that your childhood experiences, those traumatic experiences that you went through, are actually affecting how you behave today. Whether you're an employer, an employee, or just an individual that is a colleague, a friend, a husband, a wife, there is something that affects you because trauma is kept in that nervous system. And so when we come to the place of work, every employee, this is one thing we really need to know. At the workplace, everyone brings in some 3 things, and there could be more. They come in with their skills, they come in with their stress, and they come in with their story. And maybe the story is untold. And when I think about this, I remember a story I was just told not too long ago. as part of my work. Sometimes you meet people and they tell your story, and it is a nurse that has an autistic child. And you know how a child who is autistic behaves. For those of you that know, you really know, it is a very stressful time for the mother. And so she had a busy job in a hospital. She's a nurse. She needs to report at different hours, sometimes in the night, sometimes early in the morning, sometimes at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So she didn't have structure. Autistic children want structure. And so, of course, she's the only one that connects with this child very well. She's the constant person, because the house helps would come and go because of the child. And many times she wouldn't sleep. She comes home and the child wants some attention and she can't sleep, because autistic children sometimes cannot sleep, depending on where they are on the spectrum. And it was really challenging for her. So she would come to work and it was very hard for her. Her colleagues knew. So slowly it faded out of their minds, and they expected her to just continue with normal routine. And one day, when this child suffered pneumonia and died, and after the burial, of course, the colleagues went, and one of them came and said, "At least you can now rest." And she thought that was the most unfair thing you can ever hear from anyone. That my child has died and now I can rest? No. Nobody wants their child to die, whether they're autistic or not. So people have stories, many of them hidden. And we are functioning professionally while we are silently struggling at a personal level. And so, what is trauma? Trauma is really an emotional or psychological response to a deeply distressing, frightening, or harmful event that overwhelms a person's ability to cope and results in long-lasting negative effects on functioning. And sometimes it involves a lot of intense feelings of helplessness, of fear, of confusion. And it can stem from just one single incident or many continuous issues, like people who are in violent relationships. That is continuous trauma. And so in the workplace, people are carrying trauma. I have this little graph that I normally use. It's called the resilience zone. We are at our resilience zone maybe right now. We are seated listening. You go to your place of work, you're feeling okay, but trauma bumps you out of the resilience zone. And so some people may be stuck on the high. So they are edgy, they're irritable, they're angry, they're anxious, and sometimes they just have pain, deep pain, and anger outbursts. Others are stuck on the low. They are depressed, they're usually just sad, isolated, tired, fatigued, numbness. So what happens really in both of these cases is how does it show up at work? Your nervous system carries memory. So even when your mind has moved on, when you're in your resilience zone, you feel calm, you think clearly, you listen well, you solve problems, you are at your best. But when there is a small threat, you feel defensive. And that is what maybe some of us said we do or we behave because of just some little, not little, really, some trauma that happened to you as a child. And we might snap at somebody or dominate or just want to argue. And sometimes that is what we call the fight mode. When there is the freeze mode is when you sometimes just shut down and you don't want to contribute, you don't want to you go numb, you are present, but you're really not there. So when old wounds are triggered at work, we drop out of this thrive mode. But we don't always know why. And it is, as we are learning today, it is actually some trauma. What is trauma in everyday life? The definition I gave is a big one. But just being shouted at by a manager in front of your team is actually traumatic. or being made to feel stupid, invisible, or replaceable at work. And even growing up in a home where money is always tight and scarce. Hakuna pesa, we have no money. When you ask as a child, even when you grow up, you have a husband that always says, we have no money. You people, we have not budgeted for this. We have no money. It is traumatic. So you feel like sometimes you want to ask, but you can't. And then learning early that showing emotions gets you punished is very traumatic. And of course, many of us right now are carrying the weight of your family, survival on your shoulder. It could also be toxic leadership at the place of work, jobs insecurity right now, bullying, discrimination, layoffs, people are anxious, chronic overwork. People are now doing 3 jobs. They're working for they're doing some online work in the night, and then during the day, they're working in their offices, and they're not sleeping well. And then, of course, unresolved conflict becomes one of the major issues of trauma today. So trauma today is really not major disasters in the work, as defined. But in the workplace, there is a lot of trauma. So understanding this human first workplace, the workplace that really recognizes employees as whole human beings, not just producers of output. And the reality today in the workplace is that there is a lot of burnout. From research, there is actually Gallup, one of the major HR research bodies, has done a research and found that there is increasing burnout globally. There is emotional exhaustion that is being normalized. It's like it is okay. Just move on. We have to get this work done. We have to get this output. Hybrid work has blurred boundaries. You work into the night because you're working online. You do not have a stopping time. So you find yourself at midnight, people are on their laptops. The other day, I was working with a gentleman that has been sharing his story right now very openly with some of our colleagues. He just works. He sits on his laptop and he doesn't realize it is 3 a.m. The wife comes, tells him, it is actually 2 a.m. Are you going to sleep? He says, just a few minutes, I need to finish this. And he goes on until 5 a.m, gets up, and again takes breakfast and goes back to his laptop. And he says he realized that for 3 days he had not slept. As we are talking now, he is under the support of a psychiatrist and, of course, a psychologist, because his brain literally flipped, for just lack of a better word. There is economic pressure that is affecting mental wellness right now, the workplace. And of course, we have the multi-generational generations that are working together for the first time in history. And this is really a very interesting part. And, we will be talking a bit, if there would be time, on this multi-generational workspace. And what else is there? I'm sure you know, there's suicide. This morning, I got a message on my phone from a doctor friend of mine, and she was telling me the alarming. I live in Kajiado County, so she gives me reports once in a while because of the mental health work that I do. And she said there is such an alarming number of suicides this month amongst young people in Ngong. The reports in the Ngong hospital this month of March, April, the high number of suicide cases is worrying. Why? Those are realities in the workplace and out of the workplace in our homes. Why do employees leave an organization? It is said that people rarely leave organizations only because of work and benefits. They often leave because they felt unseen, unheard, unsafe, unsupported, chronically depleted, and toxic workspaces. And I'm sure many of us here have experienced that. So what is trauma-informed care? Trauma-informed care is designing workspaces and treating people with awareness that they are carrying emotional wounds. They are carrying chronic stress. They are carrying grief. They are carrying anxiety, abuse, instability, and unresolved painful experiences. So we need to get this right. We are not changing managers into therapists. It is actually changing the culture of the workspace from asking, what is wrong with you, to asking, what might you be going through? We want to shift the question from why is this employee difficult? Why is this person so difficult? And we want to start asking what experiences may be shaping the behavior of this employee. So moving to the 5 generations that we have right now in the workspace. I'm sure you know about the 5 generations, but what are some of the things that are affecting, and how do they experience the workplace differently? We have 5 generations in the office right now, and we have many different stories. Nobody comes to work as a blank slate. We all bring our history with us. We have our needs, and we need wellness. So I'm not going to talk about the silent generation, the traditionalists that were born in 1928 to 1945. Most likely they have retired. They are the ones that are the owners of companies. And they are just patrons, really. Their children could be the ones that are running those companies right now. But what shaped them was war and scarcity. And so their challenges really, right now their challenge is becoming irrelevant. And so they hang out once in a while. They come out, they're signatories to the bank accounts, and they just want some updates. But let's look at the baby boomers. These are the 1946 to 1964. What shaped them was loyalty. You know, you work hard, keep your head down. Loyalty is everything. And what shaped them was economic growth at that time. There was a competitive career culture. And you're told to work hard to succeed. Their strengths, even up to today, very committed. They're the people who have worked in a company for 30 years and they retire, or 40 years and they retire. I was talking to a group that was organized, a team that was organized by the Retirement Benefits Authority about 2 weeks ago, of people that are about to retire. And you can see men and women that have been so loyal. They have worked in these companies for 30 years, 40 years, and they're about to retire. The real truth is that they learned, don't rock the boat or you lose everything. And their wellness challenge is burnout. It is difficult for them to slow down, and they fear retirement because of loss of purpose. They don't know where to go after they leave the company. Why do they behave the way they do? To them, they can be, as managers, they can be very, very demanding. So they need to learn to normalize rest and boundaries. Then there is another generation, the Gen X, born 1965 to 1980. These ones are most likely taking care, the 2 generations, the baby boomers and Gen Xs, are most likely taking care of their aging parents. And so that is one of the biggest stress that they have. The Gen Xs, what shaped them was the economic uncertainty at that time. And, you know, independence. They were told, trust to them is trust no one, do it yourself. Don't depend on the system. So these people are very hardworking, very committed, very practical, problem solvers. And they carry silent stress. This is one generation that carries silent stress because they have caregiver burdens. They're taking care of their children, paying school fees, really weighed down. They are taking care of their aging parents, and they have a lot of work to do. They carry a lot. They are the managers right now in most of the organizations. They prefer autonomy, and as managers, they focus on results, and so they can come out very inflexible as managers sometimes. And then we have millennials. These ones who are born in 1981 to 1996, and what shaped them is this digital growth, rapid digital growth. And so for them, it is, let me find my purpose and make a difference, because you and other people around me matter. So it is said that these are the entitled job hoppers. They move from one job to another, and they're okay with that, unlike the baby boomers and Gen Xs. And the real truth is that they are grieving the gap between the dream and the reality. And these are the people that are buying all the plots in the city of every county. They are grabbing, not grabbing. They are, let me use a better word. They are not grabbing. They are gathering, gatherers. So they really just want to quickly gather. And they also were affected by the social media culture. And so they are, at the workplace, they are very innovative. They are purpose-driven, value diversity and inclusivity. They are very good. Their wellness challenge is anxiety and burnout and financial pressure, because they want to get every other thing. They want to get the new car that is in the market. They want to feel, they have the fear of missing out on what is happening amongst their peers. And so there's a lot of peer pressure in this generation. They have emotional exhaustion, and there's this constant comparison culture. Then let's move on to Gen Xs. I'm sure we talk about Gen Zs. We talk about Gen Zs a lot. These ones who are born 97 to 2012, they are in the workspace right now, and for them, nothing is certain. They are in the VUCA world. Mental health for this group is real, and they speak up. Actually, this is the group that we see most. They're the ones who say, I want to see a therapist. I want to have a therapist, personal therapist. And so Gen Zs are good at taking care of themselves. And they are often seen as too sensitive, or too soft, not resilient. They break down too fast. That's the way we see them as older people or other generations. And for the Gen Zs, really, they have had several disruptions, including COVID. Some of them that are in the job market today, that have started work today, were affected by COVID. And so they have social instability, struggling to make real relationships because their relationships are online generally. And so the constant online pressure also has affected them. So the real truth is that they never had a before. And this is the group that the parents are so busy that they're not having, the society has also sort of broken down. The aunties are not there to speak to you. So their peers are the ones that are, supporting them. Their peers are the ones advising. They're learning things online. AI is the one giving them support. And so it's not that they are weak. Really, they're just different in strength, because they have many, many positive things. They are tech savvy, they are creative, socially aware, fast learners, and they don't want a job that will keep them from 8 to 5. They are not able to settle in one place. However, their wellness challenge is that they have high anxiety and emotional overwhelm, and they don't have where to go to get help, especially from their peers or their friends. They actually get help from technology. And so loneliness is very high for this group, despite the connectivity. And maybe that is the reason for the number of suicides that we are seeing today. So why do we clash then? Yeah? What is really going on? it's not for the younger generation. We think differently. The older generation thinks differently. So there is no need whatsoever for us to clash. Neither side is wrong. We see things differently, and we need to care at the place of work from the perspective that we see the other people. So the principles of trauma-informed care are really psychological safety, trustworthiness, choice, collaboration, and empowerment. And I'm going to explain this and how it looks like, how trauma-informed leadership looks like at the place of work. Trauma-informed leadership is what makes people feel safe. So the first one is safety, or we call it psychological safety. People need to feel emotionally safe. And this means no humiliation, no bullying, no fear-based leadership, and also respectful communication. How do you do that? I like to tell managers whenever I meet with them and speak to them as I do my trainings, that always start a meeting by saying, before we dive into the meeting, how really are you doing today? And check in with everybody and mean it and listen. The moment you create psychological safety, people will begin to talk about how they feel and what they are going through. Like this nurse would have told you, I didn't sleep. My son was up I was up with my boy the whole night. And you can, hold space for them and support them through the day, so that if you're a colleague, you can, ask them to take an hour to just nap, and you can pick up that work for them. Another thing is, do what you say every time. Trustworthiness and consistency. If you cancel one-on-one meetings, give clear feedback, or you give unclear feedback, or you change your mind constantly, people stop trusting you. And so consistency is really kindness, as far as trauma is concerned. Consistency is kindness. Never take it for granted. Give people choices. That's number 3. Employees are give them a voice. Allow flexibility. Don't micromanage. Give employees a level of autonomy. Let them make some choices. And then there is the fourth one is collaboration. Ask, don't just tell. Get people involved. Don't control. Just ask simple questions. How do you think we should solve this problem together, instead of only issuing commands? Ask a question, what do you think we should do? And let it be genuine. It really changes everything, so that you give power to the people and not over the people. And I can tell you that the moment you do this, you'll begin to see how relaxed the employees become, and they can begin sharing some of these things that they have not been telling you. Somebody will come and tell you, look, this is what I'm going through. This is the reality. And then notice what is strong, not what's wrong. Empower your employee. Focus on their strengths, not on their mistakes. Focus on their growth, not on the mistakes that they are making. Ask what is getting in your way. What do you need from me? It replaces that question, why haven't you done this? Recognize effort and progress, not just the outcomes. I am just bringing this to a close in a short while, but let's look at just a small example of 2 different managers. Sam has missed 2 deadlines and is withdrawn, and here's what happens next. Manager A sends a cold email. We need to talk. You have missed 2 deadlines. Manager B checks in privately. Hey, I've noticed things seem a bit hard lately. You haven't met your deadlines. What could be happening? Another manager opens a meeting and says, gentlemen and ladies, this is unacceptable. We cannot continue having this kind of results. The other one says, is everything okay? What do you think we need? We are not getting the results that we need. And on and on. Same problem, same deadline, completely different human outcomes. Now, let me put a disclaimer here and clarify before you throw stones at me. The human first workplace doesn't mean that you're allowing poor performance or avoiding accountability or becoming emotionally permissive and excusing bad behavior. You still can set expectations, you manage performance, you enforce policies, but you do it without dehumanizing people. It is not a place without pressure, because there is pressure in most organizations today. There is pressure for accountability, for targets. It is just a place where people don't lose their dignity. So we don't want employees to lose their well-being or humanity in the process of achieving. That is the important thing. And now, just something small again, from our African context, really, many of us in this room are carrying an extra layer that we will never get in textbooks, and we don't talk about it. For example, just the weight of being the first in your family to make it. And you have everybody expects you to pay some black tax somewhere, to pay school fees for your brother's son. These are things that are not in a textbook anywhere. The pressure, we have pressure for some of us to represent our community because you're the first one that has a doctorate in your community. You know, we have the clash between just a modern professional and those deep cultural beliefs that we have. So there is underlying pressure that will not get anywhere in a book somewhere on wellness. It has a lot to do with how you manage this as an individual, because there is so much expectation. In our communities, actually, in many of our communities, trauma is never discussed. You're told, move on. And this silence can protect, but it is also a wound that travels to the next generation quietly. I always say we have what we call intergenerational trauma. A father behaves in a certain way, passes on to a son who behaves the same way, and passes on to another one who behaves the same way. And so we find ourselves passing on this trauma, and we pass it on to people at our workplace. We also, in our African setup, there's authority and hierarchy. You know, we have deep respect for elders, and hierarchy is really a strength, but it can also make it hard to speak up. And because of that, we struggle to set boundaries, but it is important to learn to set boundaries. Then in Africa, we have gone through much. In our setups, just in Kenya alone, we have gone through so much. Resilience is real. We are real resilient people. We have survived. Our communities have survived. We have survived. Some of our organizations have survived some of the hardest things. But the resilience is not really a reason to demand more suffering. It's a foundation to build on from. So what can we commit ourselves to doing? Empathy. I always say empathy is one of the biggest, for me, it is one of the biggest aspects of emotional intelligence. Just imagining what could this person be going through? And so I want to leave us with a commitment. If you were to complete this sentence, what would you say? In the next 7 days, I will dash to create more safety for dash. Who would that person be? You will possibly endeavor. You will try. You will make it a point to create more safety for your children. It could be for the workers that you have, for your colleague who has been going through traumatic experiences. So trauma, just remember this, trauma is really not weakness, it is human. So don't ask people to just get over it. They are carrying history and they are carrying stories. And generational differences are not about really attitude. We have gone through life differently. We have had different experiences and survival strategies. That's why we behave the way we do. So I would say this, that nobody really needs a certificate to be a trauma-informed leader. You just need to slow down and ask this question: how could this person be doing? And for those of you that are going to the office today, take 10 minutes to just check in with a colleague and ask them, how really are you doing? You'll be amazed. You'll be surprised. That's empathy. You'll be surprised at what they will tell you. People are going through financial struggle. They are going through family challenges. And we don't ask this question because we are possibly too afraid. But begin asking this question, and you will create an environment. For you who are managers, begin asking this question. You'll be amazed at how you will support people. I will finish by saying this: empathy is really not lowering the standards, but it is raising humanity. In a world where many people arrive at work carrying invisible wounds, the greatest workplaces will not simply be the most efficient, but actually the most human. So trauma-informed care is reminding us that people will forget policies, they will forget targets, they will forget presentations, but they will never forget how the workplace made them feel. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. That reminds me two important quotes. Yes, people will forget what you do for them, but they will not forget how you made them feel. That's one thing I remember in my studies of leadership. The other thing you mentioned is uh, people actually quit people. People don't quit companies. Companies are the same. That same company, somebody else is coming, but the person they work with, that is the person they do not want to work with, or they do not want to work under. And so it becomes very difficult for them to be themselves and to produce. And it explains the same thing, that people don't just work for money, they want more than money. So they will live there and go to another place where probably they even get less, but they want some peace of mind. They want to be recognized. They want some understanding, and that empathy. That's very, very important. Uh, I'm yet to see a question, but if we are going to have one, I'll shoot it. Mine is, how does this relate to volunteer organizations? Say, for example, the Rotary clubs. People come in, you are not hiring them, you are not giving them any food, any incentive. Yes. How does it fit into that particular scenario? Maybe you can say, even in church leadership, you have no leverage. You are not giving any honorarium or per diem or whatever. Yeah.
Thank you, OPP. You actually do not have to give any incentive in order for you to be trauma-informed, to give trauma-informed care. I think anybody, every human being, including that matatu driver and that makanga, just needs some trauma-informed care. The kind of questions you ask them, how you treat them. It is humanness. That is what we are really talking about. We just need to be human. We have lost our humanness or our humanity. I don't know whether we can say humanity. Humanness is the big word, you know. We have lost our humanness, and we need to go back to that Ubuntu, to just know that you are human first before you are a church member, before you are a church worker, before you are a pastor. We don't even go to our pastors to check with them how they really are doing. We just tell them all our problems. I don't know whether anybody ever goes to the president to ask, how are you really doing? For those that are able to reach out to him. All we do is we just throw many things at him, you know, but he's human first, despite him being in that leadership position.
Good. It's the same thing I usually see, even how we treat police officers or
Yes.
people in public offices. It's sometimes very unkind, and I think these people carry a lot of stress, a lot of trauma, a lot of uh, uh, a lot of pressure that
Yeah.
enough times we put onto them, and then we want to judge them afterwards. So somebody here
Yeah.
is asking, that is Duncan Soro, how do I cope with a difficult boss? Now in this case, I am the small one. I'm the one who is being handled in this particular manner. How do I cope?
That's a very good question. Because remember what I said, the boss is carrying their skill, their stress, and their story. Now, you have nothing to do with their story. So the way they are treating you is because of their story, most likely. So you have everything to do with yourself. How do you handle how your boss treats you? So you either respond or you react. How you react is what affects you. You have what we call your locus of control. You are the only one that has control over how you respond to your boss. And as he watches the way you respond, then he will begin to be different. If there is psychological safety in that organization, then you can actually give feedback to your boss and tell him, sir, you know, with all due respect, the way you shouted at me left me feeling very uncomfortable. Is it okay for us to talk about it? And let me tell you, you go to his private space and he tells you, you know, I have this teenager in my house that is really disturbing me, you know, and that could be the reason that he's shouting at you, because you look like you're a teenager. To him, you look younger, you look like you are a little better than him, more tech savvy and everything. Everybody seems to be struggling with something, just taking a little time to understand what could this person really be going through. And that's the question that you should be asking. If you can give them feedback or use somebody else to give feedback, or if you have a feedback mechanism in your organization, you could do that, and that will create awareness for him. But
Thank
of
you.
course,
Thank
we
you.
need to understand the circumstances. Yeah.
Great. There are two more questions, but I want to post them so that we can bring this to an official close, which is usually by 8:15. And just to mention that we also appreciate the organizations that are putting this together, sponsored by Falcon Insights Global Limited and Consulting Limited, Live Your Dream Enterprises. Those two organizations are enterprise support organizations. And then ICT Gurus, that helps you to put your businesses online. I'd like to invite Noel. I don't know who is supposed to be giving a vote of thanks. After that, we will close. Then we will probably, I don't know if Dr. is around, she can handle the two questions. Noel,
Yeah.
please give the vote of thanks.
kindly allow me to be off video because I am on the road. So I'm on my way somewhere. I started at home, but I am right now on the road. So I call. Okay, Otero Computer. I call upon Dr. Melvin.
Okay.
Dr. Melvin is going to give the vote of thanks.
Yeah, it's my pleasant duty to first of all thank the audience for staying with us for this 1 hour. I want to thank the organizers of this particular session. That is Otieno Paul Peter, Lady Noel, Antonia, and Odiambo Lale for putting up this, being so consistent in putting these shows together every Monday morning. Thank you so much. We are very grateful. I want to thank Falcon Investment Group, and I want to thank Live Your Dream and ICT Gurus for sponsoring this particular event. Finally, I want to thank the speaker for today, Dr. Florence Ambayo, for breaking down this topic of trauma-informed leadership so well. We have learned so many lessons that we must take into the workplace, we must take into Rotary, we must take into church leadership and other social places where we work and meet. I loved the way she broke down the different generations and their strengths and weaknesses, and how we can work harmoniously across generations. I also loved her simplified approach, and she got us to participate. So we hope to see you in another session, Dr. Florence, because we know that you have a wealth of knowledge and experience which you're going to share with us, so that we as Power Monday can make an impact on the mental health of the people who interact with us every week, so that we can reduce the suicide rate among the Gen Zs and among other generations, and so that we can all live harmoniously and work more productively to increase the GDP of this great nation. With those few remarks, I want to hand you back to OPP. Back to OPP.
Are you in the category of the patrons, or you are the baby boomer? Just
I'm a baby boomer. I'm a baby boomer, and I have no apologies to make.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'll ask you the other question you were asking about racism. I don't know how it came in.
Which one?
You were saying that your point of trauma was racism. Yeah, it will come. Anyway, time is gone. Let's hear from Antonia. Any announcement that you may have as we come to a close, Antonia? Are you there? And Antonia, you are muted. You're muted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Am I unmuted now?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, Power Monday family. It's such a great joy to be here this morning, and thank you all for creating time to join. I only have 2 announcements, and one is that we are supposed to visit a children's home, that is Amani Children's Home at Riruta, on 6th of June. I just posted that this week on the group. So kindly, let's support this initiative. And like we always do, if you have the dry stuff, like the clothes, the dry food stuff, you can always let me know so that we can collect them on time to avoid the last minute collection. which delays us from starting their function. And I trust you saw that we are doing mentorship to the children because most of them are reclaimed. In fact, all of them are reclaimed from the streets of Nairobi. And so we are supposed to just go spend time with them and mentor some of them. So if you are available, kindly let's start preparing ourselves to come, and it will be a great time. The other and last announcement is about our dinner. We are supposed to book it next month, and so far the reception from us is not very good. So let's give our commitment. You can book even with 1,000 so that we can submit the actual number to the hotel for that room to be secured for us. They only have 100 capacity hall, and we need to secure it for that day, for the 30th of October, for our annual dinner. So let's book, and there is a discount. Today I'll be sharing the discount for the early birds. So stay tuned. I'll share that immediately after the meeting. For those who are not in the group, I trust you filled the form. This is the last one, Kabisa. I trust you filled the form. I'll be adding you in the course of the day. Have yourselves a blessed day and a great week ahead.
Thank you very much. And on that note, just to mention that you can follow the channel, the Power Monday channel, to learn what is upcoming. If you are not in the WhatsApp group, you can also fill in the form and join the WhatsApp group. And there is need to fill the form. Somebody may ask, why not just share the link? Because we need to know who is in there. We need to be accountable to a degree. And lastly, Dr. Florence, you will share probably the slides. Some people are asking for it.